Shabbat Shalom, Mesh. I pray all is well. Uh, Probably wrong for me to say this, but I'm going to try to be quick. I've talked about this guy in his book Morals and Dogma, which these few paragraphs came from that book. And I want to talk a little bit about it, about the bottom here, the end of the page when it mentions WW3. You should know what I'm talking about. But before I do that, I want to show you one thing about the president of the country that is being overtaken. That's all in the news, you know? Well, yesterday I was working and I was thinking that about how that 40-mile-long convoy is just inching its way to where the leaders of that government are hunkered down in the capital of that country. And I was thinking how the president continues to say that they will not allow they will keep their sovereignty and will not lose it, right? And I caught myself doing what I complain others do way too much. I was thinking, he's saying they're gonna protect their sovereignty. What sovereignty? They have invaded, penetrated your borders in multiple spots. That convoy is going to do some major remodeling, we'll just put it that way. And I was thinking, like, how is it that they can sit there and say that? Then I started to come back to reality, and I thought about all the other, incorrect flags. I like to call them fried fish. Those operations that have happened. I was thinking about all the actors, and I was thinking maybe these are just actors. And at that moment, I realized I really needed to be slapped, because I knew this before. But like a lot of people, and I'll admit it, I get sucked back in to lies occasionally and forget that I've been shown the truth about that. Well, when I came back to reality and realized that this is all part of the script, I looked up the prez to that country, and guess what he was right before all that began? Let's read this. He was once a rom-com star before becoming their president and a war hero. Zelensky played the president on TV. He did Dancing with the Stars and Sex in the City. Should we be surprised? Check this out. Before becoming president of the Cranes, his only political experience was limited to playing the Cranes president. Can you believe that? And it don't end there, because the TV series where he played their president, called Servant of the People, yeah, he created and produced that series. And it ended right before the chaos began. So I guess you could say he had a good deal of practice before all this started, eh? Here, to this page from Albert Pike's book, which he wrote in 1871, titled Morals and Dogma. I'm going to read this last third paragraph. The third W3, the third WW, I guess, must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. So right there, the first part of that third paragraph, they tell you what their objective is in creating WW3. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minorities, will exterminate these destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an idea, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Okay. What I want to show you here is, if you buy the hype, if you drink the Kool-Aid, then you are a member of the party. the Most High showed me something that I never knew the answer to. He showed me the answer to something I've often wondered about, which is related to this, to what I've been talking about pride and humility. And it's what you need to understand, we need to understand. It seems like there's no end to the fact that pride is so hidden from what we think pride is. And so much of what we do, even me, now that I see how we don't identify pride, it's hard for me to get away from it, okay? I was talking to my son last night, or the night before, and I was saying that I was mentioning how those people over there a week or so ago were living a life just like the people are living here in America. And now, in an instant, they've been forced to pack what they can pack in a couple backpacks and flee for their lives to a different country, leaving all they've ever known. And how everything can change. And those people are so torn because they had all the material things. That's what they're torn about, right? Well, I told him how TikTok was made by China, and over there is no idiots shaking their ass, talking out their ass on TikTok, doing crap that makes absolutely no sense. That does not happen in China, where TikTok was created. It's only used for when someone is promoted or something good happens. But yet they sold us what is dumbing down society, right? And you hear that leader, the people, talking about how they will fight for their freedom and their sovereignty. The aggressor said it would be a cakewalk, and the people of the Ukraine is saying that it wouldn't be, but yet it totally is. And they're handing out rifles by the thousands. And the way society has been molded, which, if you think about it, is a social cataclysm. Why? Because those who would be defending us on the front line are the same young snowflakes who would shake their ass retardedly for TikTok. These kids that are people who have never lived without a cell phone, without the internet, and then people like myself, I'm 41, I grew up in a time where there were no cell phones, where we were taught respect and things that these people who would be in the military know nothing about. And would you say that that was by design? And when I read this the other day, I seen how it first mentioned Israel and Islam, right? And I thought, well, that's not happening, which it's always going on in the Middle East. But in the top right corner here, you see that guy, and that I had my YouTube playing when I took this snapshot. And I was trying to find a video I've watched plenty of times that aired on the Prophecy Club back in the early 90s, I would say. And this guy had a vision that Russia and the the other big red flagged dragon country would invade here, right? And most people just can't fathom that, right? Well, in his vision, he was shown the New Madrid fault in Chicago. And at that time, no one, not even scientists, had discovered any fault close to that site. And when he made that claim, he got smeared in newspapers, science papers, by top-notch scientists that he was full of shit because there was no New Madrid fault line there. But a few years later, come to find out, there is one there. So that gave that guy and that vision some credibility. And what he said about them two invading, he said that the country, starting with an R, launched some missiles because of a dispute, some N missiles. that landed here but didn't really do much damage. And right after that, North Korea would attack South. Simultaneously, Iran would attack Saudi Arabia and Israel. The red ones, Taiwan, the R country, Ukraine. And that we would send a fleet to all those spots. And when we were there, our fleets arrived, which, according to his vision, was what the C and the R countries were hoping on. They invaded. And that what would make or break them having success was when the word came to those fleets that were in all those different spots, when they first heard the word that the motherland, that America had been invaded, they didn't believe it. Why? Because they thought that there was no way that that could happen. And by the time they were convinced it was happening, which was only, like, I think he said 13 minutes, from the time they were told to the time they were convinced and headed back home, was just the amount of time needed to for them to get their whatever buried in, and to the point where they could fight our ships off as they returned. And it sure does seem like that's what's on the menu. If you wanted to, any one of y'all wanted to actually break any of this down, you can chalk it up to pride and humility. I mentioned before, during, in the middle of the Cobra Vampire 1-9, that we may have been in the part about the red horse in Revelation. But I think I was wrong, and I think that's what this is. And when I said I want to slap myself, I really do, because I should have never allowed myself to be deceived was something I was already well aware of. I've been shouting about how this is all a script. And that social cataclysm that conditioned the minds for what's about to happen, for it to be possible. It was the Cobra vampire. Now, the masses will believe anything, even if it's right in their face. They could totally do away with the Omicron, Cobra, any of it, and never mention it again, and the people will never say a word. And the reason for that is pride. And I went to Revelations chapter 6. And I read about the horses. But I realized I needed to go back to chapter 5. And in chapter 5, we read about the Lamb being the only one worthy to take the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne, Abba, Yahuwah. It was written inside and on the back, having been sealed with the 7 seals. And up until now, I had never asked the question, what made him worthy? Let's read this. Verse 2, and I saw a strong messenger proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the scroll and to loosen its seals? And no one in the heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look at it. And I wept much, because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll or to look at it. So, why would John weep? Unless he knew what it meant to open a scroll and what was in there. So, but I don't think that's in chapter 4. Let me look. No. So there has to be something left out. Which we end up knowing what the scrolls are about anyway. So I guess it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But he wept because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll. And one of the elders said to me, do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Yehuda, the root of Dawood, Yahusha Messiah, overcame to open the scroll and to loosen its 7 seals. So right there, it tells you what made him worthy and able to do that was he overcame. And we know that he overcame death, right? And I've said plenty of times before that the reason he died, and anyone should be aware of this, he died for speaking the truth. Why, if you don't believe that or don't know about it, why did he die? Was it because he healed a blind person? Or fed the 5,000? Or was it because he was telling the truth? And if he would have stopped telling the truth, they wouldn't have killed him. Even his mom and brother tried to shut him up to the point where they were willing to tackle him. But he overcame because he refused to deny the truth. And he was purely humble. And how can we know that? Because he wanted nothing to benefit him or credit him in any way. Most of the world today, a lot of people I know, they're the type of people that they have to be right. They think they're way better than you or anyone. And they're in constant competition. Then there's people like me, or maybe you, who never even consider that. And we understand that we know nothing. We can never be right in our own eyes, which makes us give total control to the potter. You know, I've shared many times how there's only 2 types of people on this earth. There's those who are proud and haughty, who the Most High says will be destroyed. Then there's the humble, the meek, the lowly, who will inherit eternal life. And Messiah conquered this life perfectly, better than we could ever dream of doing, right? So what made him worthy to open those scrolls? Was he believed, had faith in the Most High completely, to understand what it meant. And one form of pride, one way to see people displaying pride who will and currently refuse to believe that what I'm about to say is pride. It says right here that an elder told him not to weep. He said, see the lion of the tribe of Yehuda, the root of Daoud, open that scroll. Most of us know that that lamb, that lion from the tribe of Judah is Messiah, Yahusha, the man the world calls Jesus. So we know that he is that lamb who is worthy to open and grab that scroll. And where'd he grab it from? It says he took the scroll out of the right hand of him sitting on the throne. We know that Abba wants his children to live and be to understand everything, which would be pure humility. If you're someone who believes this idea that I've ran with before, that Yahuwah and Yahusha are the same, that Yahusha the Messiah is our Father, come down from heaven and made flesh, and that it's just Yahusha's another aspect of him. It says right here that the Messiah, the Son, grabbed the scrolls that only he was worthy to do, to grab, from the right hand of him sitting on the throne. Now, if the Son was in some fantastical sci-fi way just an aspect of the Father, because he is not the author of confusion, but here to lead us to all truth, he would have made us aware of that. But everywhere he says, I am the Son, not my will but my Father's. If you're someone who believes in campaigns that they're the same, you probably base your whole doctrine on the one time Yahusha said, I and the Father are one. Right? And that's probably all the proof you can produce. Either in the Old Testament, Abba saying that no one saves but him. But you disregard the thousands of places where it states they are not the same. So being how you have no clear-cut place, not one, where that your doctrine of Trinity basically being the case, but you refuse to look into it, and you'll carry on what man has taught you. That, my friend, is pride. If you refuse to listen and not even consider because you think you know, you're full of pride. Yahusha was worthy. He overcame because he completely trusted in Abba and believed in his truth without a hiccup. If you ride with whatever the world is selling, if you look down the line of it, it's because you got pride in you. Come out, humble yourself, for it's too late. Shabbat Shalom.